Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of From Framerails to Finish, a collaborative film project with National Fire Radio and Fire and Safety Services of New Jersey. Today we're in Tabernacle, New Jersey, reviewing tender engine 4312. Join us as we take a look at the engine, learn about the department, see the tradition and culture behind the doors as we check out Tabernacle, New Jersey. So Chief, when designing a tender engine, what becomes the priority for you?
So we discussed that. We said, you know, we need an engine with extra water, but we also like all the tender options. To me, a combination truck can never be perfect on both jobs. It's always really good at one and not so good at the other.
Right.
Us, we wanted the engine. So that's why we focused truly on the engine side with the low hose bed. All the hoses real low and the access of equipment very easily. When you see a lot of tender engines, their hose beds are 10, 11 foot in the air. I didn't want that. I wanted everything. I'm a short guy. I wanted to be able to get all the hose without jumping off everything. So that's what our focus was building this as an engine with the option of a tender.
A lot of times when you see a tender, you're right, the hose beds are pushed way up to compensate for a large water tank.
Correct.
You got 2,000 gallons on board, right?
Yeah.
And what you did, what I like, is you made up for it, right? So no cross lays on this, and we'll get to that when we get to the pump housing.
Correct.
But you guys have two 200-foot 1.75" smoothbores up front.
Almost every fire will lead off with a bumper line in our district. So some of the ways we compensate was we actually ended up putting a 2.5-inch plumbing on both of our pre-connects up here to flow that extra water to get that, to have the ability, if we needed to add the extra line on,
right,
if wanted. Us with the smoothbore, I'm a big smoothbore proponent. I push that, and I think that's the best way of fighting fire, especially with your lightweight construction out here that we have, and we have also some wind mixture out here. But the smoothbore to us is the best overall firefighting tactic for us, the ability to fight fire.
I think about country roads, long response times because you're covering 49 square miles. You got to bring the water with you.
Correct.
Single lane driveways going up into the property, pulling off the front just makes sense because you're nosing into the fire, correct?
Yes.
Now, the other thing I noticed too is that you have 2 attack lines up front, but no front intake.
Yeah, so we debated that.
Yeah.
We actually really pushed Pierce to the limit because we wanted an intake in the center. And after discussion, what we ended up doing is we were going to do it no matter what. We have 50 foot of hard sleeves on this. We have 2 15s and 2 10s. So we're like, all right, well, we can easily access our dry hydrant system we have here through the side pump. So that's why we ended up with no front intake and just strictly our bumper lines. And
there's always trade-offs, right? You want to put 2 front bumper lines, chances are you might not be able to get that front intake, vice versa, right?
Yep.
So I understand that completely, but I love the mindset when you look at developing an engine company with a lot of water. You then are building for hose and suppression and not supply.
Correct.
Very cool. I want to take a walk around and start talking about the cab.
Yeah.
Great. All right, Chief, so the cab. How important is the cab when you guys were in the process of putting this together?
It was very important to us. Like I said, we wanted to figure out how we're going to add all the equipment with just the low side compartment. So that's when we discussed the 70-10 cab. We added the extra 10 inches of cab on there so we can do the transverse compartments with our hooks and everything like that and put our extinguishers in there. And it just gave us the extra amount of room for our tools and stuff like that. So also with that, when we were sitting there, you know, discussing the cab, like, what do we do about seating? You know, unfortunately with volunteerism, it's going down. It's going to ground cross board, and we're same thing with Tabernacle. So we wanted to go from our traditional 6-man seat to a 5-man seat.
Yeah.
And then they actually opened up and gave us an extra compartment space, which we turned into the driver's compartment.
Couple things right on that is I know you guys have a duty crew program. That is you guys taking the initiative to address volunteerism and making sure that you have adequate staffing. So as much as you're reducing 1 seat out of the apparatus from the traditional 6-man cab to a 5, you're still addressing the issues here, which is, I applaud you guys very much.
Yeah.
And then secondly, understanding that everything forward of the pump housing forward is for the guys.
Correct. Everything forward is for the firefighter hand tools or anything like that. So they really don't have to go far in the back to grab hand tools or their pike pulls or whatever, New York hooks, whatever we have set up. It's all right here.
Something else too, you said this is the driver's compartment. So I love that, right? Because a lot of times you find this to be wasted space.
Yes.
Right? And what you did was you took, this is the 6th seat that you took out. So this seat is now gone. You built out a compartment where the driver's pack, flashlight, you can mount the driver's tool in there if you wanted.
Yeah.
They can put their turnout gear in there.
Correct.
It's a great compartment for the driver. And trust me, from a guy that chauffeurs the engine a lot these days, this is like valuable real estate that could be used.
Yeah.
And when you look at what you're doing in the rear with just 3 seats in the rear, it fits your staffing model. So
Yeah.
it just makes sense.
Yes.
And the other thing I noticed too back here, Chief, what you decided to do here is smart, right? Because yes, you took that 1 seat out, you made the driver's compartment here with access from the rear, but you're not enclosed. You watch so many people design these cabs and they put all this compartmentation inside, and now you're sitting like in a coffin, right? And it makes for a very uncomfortable ride.
Correct.
And when you're covering 49 square miles, these guys could be going for a 25-minute drive, right?
Correct.
So to be comfortable in the rear, super important.
Yeah, and that's when we sat down with Scott Eslow, our salesman. That was one of the things we wanted was the spacing in the seats, because we don't want guys messing around with their seatbelts. We wanted to be comfortable and be able to seatbelt in properly and have the room to put their gear on and not hit each other. So we did the proper spacing and everything for the seats in the back, and we set it up like even through it's all perfectly placed on the transverse compartment inside the back of the cab. So it's definitely the spacing is great. I mean, it gives us plenty of room to do what we have to do.
And then let's finish up with lighting, right? How important is scene lighting for you guys on the fireground, especially in a rural section of New Jersey? People don't think New Jersey's rural. We're pretty rural down here.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the street lights are non-existent here. They're only going to be on your intersections. And we do have a lot of wide open roads that are very dark. So we really thought a lot about the lighting and discussed, and we ended up with the BG2 setup from High Vis, because we really wanted to really have the ability to set one side up for scene lighting and the other side is one giant arrow stick if we wanted to. And we wanted the bright look on it, and it actually helps us out tremendously when working on long, dark roads.
They're located on all 4 sides, and you have them on the cab and the body,
Correct.
as well as the front and rear of the rig. Super smart. I understand it completely, man. You can take nighttime and turn it into daytime.
Yeah.
So very cool.
Yeah.
Let's keep walking and talk about water supply.
Yeah.
All right, Chief, so it's a tender engine, right? So let's talk about the tender portion of it. Everything we said up front, from the pump housing up front, is for the guys, the hand equipment, the engine company stuff, right? Until we get to the rear. Talk to me what was important here at the pump housing.
So a couple things. We discussed what type of pumps. I got some friends in the industry, and I said, what's the pump? What's the good one? Because we have water, so you have the big 3, right? Which one do we want?
Sure.
And everybody kept going to Hale. Everybody said Hale. I'm not really partial to whatever, but it was a great way for us to go. So we went with the Hale Q-Max 1500 single stage pump, and it gives us plenty of water. You know, like we can go above that, obviously, with the pump rating. The pump rating is at a single draft. So, but here, the more water you get in, the more water you can put out.
Right.
So with that being said, we sat there and was like, okay, so how do we maximize the water on our truck? How do we maximize the water going to our pump? So the big thing is we went with the 2 tank to pumps. We wanted to maximize it. You know, we're always really big on a lot of water, a big pump, and only one little 3-inch line for your tank to pump. So we did 2, so to maximize the flow rating on your pump. So that was a big thing. A couple other things is too, we do have some older members that drive. So if they get out and forget the scene lighting, what else could we do? So what we ended up doing was putting the control module for the BG2 right here at the pump panel.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, I forgot the lights. It's all right here at their fingertip right here.
I think the other thing that really stands out to me is how well laid out this panel is, right? And everything's in line, everything is neat and clean, and everything is low. Like when you start looking at, you elected not to go across lays, and we'll talk about that when we get to the rear why, right? But this is a dunnage area. You have your rip pack and your forestry equipment up here, right? And then on the other side, we have what?
So on the other side, we have our high-rise bag, and then we have actually some open space, you know, for more room for activities.
Yeah,
right?
activities. I love that. Yeah.
So.
But if you look at the height of this, it is very manageable. It's easy to grab. I mean, this is really well designed, and it gives you everything you need.
Yeah. And it does, and like I said, it's compact. We went with the smallest pump panel that we could possibly go for the length of the truck.
Sure.
We wanted to maximize the wheel length to 218. We didn't want to go beyond that because we knew we were building a pump returner. We can't squeeze 2,000 gallons of water, so the truck is obviously going to be very long, and we do have some tight driveways.
And then talk to me on the tender side too. Let's talk about the fold down tank, right?
Yeah, so one of the prerequisites was we wanted to do a 3,500 gallon. It had to be a 3,500 gallon pond because that's the predominant tenders around this area. And then our other one was we wanted 50 foot of hard sleeves. So we did 15 foot on both sides, and on top there's two 10 footers.
You have dedicated dry hydrants in the area?
Correct, yeah, so we do it. A lot of it is dependent on weather, like everything else.
Sure.
But yes, we do have a couple good lakes that we could go to. A little bit of a travel. It's funny, like we think it's a prerequisite here. They build the biggest homes farthest away from the water.
Of course.
So
that's how that works, right?
Yeah. So
yeah, and then your portable tank here, is this a 2,000? So you can dump your entire.
It's 3,500 gallons.
It's 3,500. And then let's talk about upfitting real quick. You can open it up, Chief, if you want. We can talk about what you decided to do. Right, so upfitting, you guys really have a well thought out compartment layout, right?
Yeah. So yeah, one of my big things is dead airspace. I don't you always see the trucks that have these really big, beautiful compartments and all the equipment just low on the ground. So one of the things I really want to do is how do we fill that and make it organized at the same time. So some of the things we come up with is the C-Tech drawers, and that holds all of our equipment, all of our adapters, and all the stuff for the drivers, and it keeps it clean and neat for us. And then obviously you have our pony rolls for our drivers when needed.
So let's talk about suspension, let's talk about tires and why. What were the decisions that went into why you built what you built?
So we were lucky to have some truck drivers on our committee, and they were very big on what they would like to see. Really big on conversation was airbags or spring. So we really wanted the spring. We wanted the spring, even though it's a little bit of a rough ride. The airbags, like us, we can be constantly doing 60 miles an hour to a call. And if we have to sudden shift, we didn't want the delay of the airbag. We wanted the spring to have that automatic stability for us. So that was really big for us on the spring setup. Yeah. Two, our frames. We went with the big 13.38, we went with the big frames, because we figured a sturdy foundation is going to make this truck last a very long time. So that was another thing we really wanted. All the way down to the tires. So we did a lot of investigation on that. And do we go open shoulder or closed shoulder? Well, closed shoulder is a lot better that's like your over-road trucks. So going down long roads at 60 miles an hour, it's a lot better tire. So that's why we ended up with the closed shoulder instead of open, because a lot of our calls, we're driving 15, 20 minutes down Route 70 or 206 doing 60 miles an hour. So that's the reason why we looked at that and went with that type of tire. This is our big water. This deals with everything with ponds. Set up between here and the top of the truck is everything that deals with pond operations. So like I said, we're really big on rural hitches and stuff like that. So we do our drains and all of our gates. And then here, so we did a fireman's friend on here, a 5-inch intake on here, but our county guidelines are 2 3-inch hose. So we did a clapper valve, which would go hook onto the back here to our fireman's friend to set us up for that quote unquote 2 3-inch hose lines.
Yeah, for a lot of people that don't know how that clapper works, explain it.
So the clapper is based on pressure. So like I said, if you have 2 lines going in, one's pumping at a higher pressure compared to a lower one, you're gonna get that line. The object is to pump at the same pressure to fill in and allow our truck to fill. It actually is very impressive how fast, because technically tender pumpers usually take a little bit more time than your 3,000, 3,500 gallon elliptical tanks. It's all about ventilation. And this truck here is actually very impressive, both dumping and receiving water. We do our time trials for our ISO every year, and it's one of the better trucks.
I have to tell you, I love talking to guys that have rural firefighting experience.
Yeah.
It's not that you're a rural fire department, it's a suburban fire department, but you have your rural areas, and when you don't have a dedicated domestic water system, the art of moving water and moving it well, you guys are so dialed in on the concept and process that it's just incredibly impressive, because I meet so many guys from all over, every walk of life in the fire service, and when you start talking about rural water supply and how to keep adequate flows for structural fires and things like that and moving water, I mean, it's builds like this. It's designed around your maximum ability to flow and establish water. I love that. Let's talk engine company in the rear. Supply's one thing. Let's talk suppression. Let's talk extinguishment. Let's talk engine company, right? Because this is a dual role apparatus. You know, you're looking at the priorities of what this rig is doing for you, right? And so when you look at the engine capabilities, it truly is a full engine company. Not only that, but you bring the hose bed down low. It's a 6 foot in depth.
Yeah.
Right? You got what, 1,500 or 1,000 feet?
1,000 foot on here.
But you can get possibly upwards of 1,500,
easily.
right?
Yeah.
250s on your 1 3/4 pre-connects. You got 500 on this 1 3/4, right? And then how much 2.5 again?
It's 500 total.
500 total?
200 foot pre-connect and 300 foot dead lift.
And then how much 3-inch?
400.
You got a lot of hose on this rig ready to go to work.
Yes. Yes, we never have a shortage of hose when we show up.
Yeah.
So it's definitely it's a blessing, you know, a blessing to have that much hose and a blessing to be able to have that much ability to fight fire and whatever the case may be. And ever how long of the way it is from the truck, we can do it.
Awesome. I want to take a walk around the officer's side and see what we're doing over there. What do we have here? So talk to me about this setup here.
So this is a quick fix to pull off, so we don't have to pull the netting down and everything like that. It comes up, we can just easily pull off this 200 foot, and it can set up to your gated Y or your jumbo Siamese, your jumbo. We have a jumbo clapper up there. We also have a manifold up top. Either or, however you want to set it up.
And then the other side of it too is you have a side dump as well.
Yeah, so both are air pneumatic on both sides. Everything's air pneumatic on all dumps. We have dump on all 3 sides. Cool thing is we have our fire tech light here. We'll actually light up so at nighttime, so we can gauge where we want to put our dumps at.
So this is a scene light here.
Yeah, this is
so
actually
we got
scene
warning
light.
here,
So
scene light here.
Correct. So as soon as this pops open, the light comes on and it shows us exactly where the water is going to dump. So this is our salt compartment. This is about the most open space you're going to get from me. And like I said, everything is set up here for our saws, and you know, try to make it as neat as possible.
It's been an incredible walk around. There's a lot of thought that went into the process and build with you and the committee, and you guys should be applauded for an excellent build. I want to wrap when we get up towards the front.
Yeah.
So Chief, I have to tell you, tender engine 4312, really well done. A 2024 Pierce Enforcer, 2,000 gallons of water, a QMax 1500 GPM single stage pump. This thing is doing everything and more than you need it for Tabernacle.
Pierce built a beautiful truck for us that can give us everything we need.
I wanted to ask you about that real quick because, I mean, obviously this is a film series with Fire and Safety Services, which is the dealership that worked with you on this apparatus, right? So talk to me a little bit about how important that relationship is, having a salesperson that represents your needs, wants, and values, as well as a dealership that understands the department that you are and what you guys typically or truly need here.
Yeah, I can't say enough about Scott. Scott, you know, I mean, I remember calling him at 10 o'clock at night, you know, or a couple, you know, early in the morning, not even thinking. I'm an early riser, so I call him up and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. You know, but he would answer the phone and he would get us anything we ever needed. And he was definitely great to work with. And like I said, we wanted to go look at a truck and see something comparable. We had to go all the way down to Maryland. And he helped us out. He got us the connection down there and got us down there to look at the truck so we can make the right decision for what we're doing for Tabernacle.
I think that relationship doesn't get talked about enough because this is a massive project for a volunteer fire department, even for career fire departments. It's a very big project with a large price tag. And so when you look at things like that, you want to make sure that everything is being done correctly. Your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed. Chief, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
What a great tour. I appreciate it. And I'm excited to learn more about the Tabernacle Fire Department as I get to sit down with some of the other guys.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you for having me in Tabernacle. This is really cool. So this collaborative project with Fire and Safety Services is called From Framerails to Finish, right? It really focuses on apparatus and the builds that you guys put together for your own department. But for me, I'm always a believer that in order to determine the style and truck that you build for yourselves here and for your residents, you need to get to understand the department, right? There's a couple things, right? So the tender engine behind us, 4312, it's a beautiful piece, but it's designed for suppression and water supply, right? So it's literally an engine with a 2,000 gallon tank on it, correct?
Correct.
So what I think is really cool is, like, as we did the walk around video this morning, Chief, I got a real good sense of like the department that you are, right? A lot of hand lines, a lot of hose ready to go to work. You're designed for your first due. Give me a little background about your first do. What does it look like, some of the challenges you have here?
Yep, so our township in Tabernacle, southern New Jersey, is roughly 49 square miles. I'd say about half of that is wooded, that's national forest. So that's part of it, and then we have houses, right? So we've got roughly, 2,500 to 3,000 homes in town, about 7,000 residents. So we've got one highway that runs straight through the center here, 2 street lights, and that's what we're working with.
Well, for lunch today, it was a deli, a pizza place, or Chinese. That's all you're getting in Tabernacle.
That's about it.
But I think that sums it up, because that is so much of what the fire service is in our country, right?
Yep.
Is suburban and rural communities where it's neighbors truly coming out and helping neighbors.
Yep.
But what's interesting here is, I was kind of expecting a more slowed down, rural fire department, and we pull up and you got guys on shift, which are volunteers taking duty crew shifts here.
Correct.
You have apparatus designed and built for firefighting. Mm-hmm. You have a firemanship culture, which I absolutely love, and I want to get to that with you in a second, Cap. But for me, looking at the makeup of the department, has the department always been this way?
So years ago, it was full volunteer. We didn't have a stipend program or anything along those lines. As time progressed, we looked at our agency and we said, hey, what do we need to do to provide the best product to our customers, right? To our residents. And so when we did that, we said, okay, look, we need a stipend program. We need something that gets guys in the seats, gets guys in the building, so that that pager goes off, we're able to get to that call, right? So they expect that from us, and we expect to give that to our residents. Sure. So in order for us to do that, we sat down, we got a FEMA grant. We utilized the FEMA grant for the time period that that's given out for, and then we went to our township committee, and our elected officials, they came through for us, right? They set aside the funding for us. They ended up budgeting it, and because of that budgeted amount of money, we have the ability to put guys in the seats. It gets the 3 men on duty crew. It gets that training, because we get guys that are doing training. They're keeping the firehouse up. They're doing the things like that you'd have on a regular firehouse that is career guys, right? So we looked at it and said, okay, what happens from 8 to 4 during the week, right? Our guys, our members, they're working in society, right? Sure. They're going out, they're leaving our township, they're going to their job, and then they're coming back. So that's why we saw that as our problem period, and we said, okay, we need to put guys on at this amount of time. And so it's not just Tabernacle that has that issue, right? It's like you said, the whole country has that issue. So it's that blue collar mentality. There's a lot of blue collar workers that are in Tabernacle, Chemung, Southampton, and so all of that kind of goes into, yeah, Tabernacle is the one that took the step first to say, hey, look, we've noticed this issue. We've come in and we've said, all right, we need to put this on so that we can make sure that our residents are covered if they are in town during those hours when you might not be getting the same amount of firefighters that we used to have back in the day, right?
Something that stands out too is the fact that you guys down here, 49 square miles is your first do.
Correct. It's very large.
That, my brain, right? That makes my brain hurt. Because I'm thinking you got, and your chief had said to me earlier this morning, there's some runs that are 20, 25 minutes in
Absolutely.
a seat.
Absolutely. And you're going a distance, and it's even, so you have your truck company, engine company, water supply, and we do a lot of wildland urban interface with our forestry brothers and sisters out there as well.
You guys have been plagued with fires in the Pine Barrens over the last few years. Correct. There's been some big deployments down this way.
Correct.
People watching this, they don't think of New Jersey as wooded, and they think it's very industrialized and urban, but in fact, the majority of New Jersey is rural and suburban neighborhoods, and you guys have a large wildlife interface here.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. It comes right up to a lot of homes, from Morton State Forest, and from the shore all the way up to parts of Tabernacle and Chemung, all encompassed right there. So we have a lot of mutual aid agreements with our forestry guys and our mutual aid towns, and we try to work together as best we can and bring all the water as much as possible.
That's great. Guys, thank you very much for your time. This has been a great conversation, and excited to see the future for Tabernacle.
Yes. Yep.
Awesome. So you got a lot of roads with soft shoulders, right?
We do.
So that's always one of those concerns, right?
Yeah, a lot of narrow roads, which really impacts water supply as well.
Yeah.
With tanker shuttles doing loops. We have a couple locations that we rely on pretty typically for our draft operations.
Right.
We built the high school here it opened in 2003. Construction started in 2000. And as part of that, I designed a cistern there that is 5 20,000-gallon water tanks buried that has two 36-foot 6-inch draft sleeves, so we can draft from there if needed.
So you got 100,000 gallons buried underground?
Buried underground. So when the high school got built, I reviewed the design of the high school, and as part of that, I asked them to install this. So there's 100,000-gallon dedicated fire water there. And then the high school also has a 50,000-gallon tank that has 40,000 gallons dedicated to fire suppression.
Got it.
For the school.
Got it.
So we can draft out of there at any time.
Yeah, I just saw a sign back there that said development, sign up today. So are you starting to see a lot more of the rural properties being developed?
So it's interesting, there's about 7 5,000 square foot homes are going to go in there.
Right.
The townspeople aren't that happy about it because it's going to be large, but here's one of the older buildings, United Methodist Church.
Right.
There. The town hall is right here.
I mean, I can see how the design of this apparatus comes truly in handy when you start looking at the properties. A lot of single lane roadways, a lot of large setbacks with driveways and, you know, single lane dirt roads, right? I mean, look at these large square footage farm homes and barns. I mean, this is, you know, and then couple that with a long response time because of the, you know, 49 square miles, right? You guys, everything's stacked against you on arrival. So that's a wrap here in Tabernacle, New Jersey with Tender Engine 4312. This has been another episode of the From Framerails to Finish film series with Fire and Safety Services of New Jersey, documenting and featuring the apparatus built in the state of New Jersey. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Jeremy, National Fire Radio.